Hey Gemini, welcome to your end of year reading where we're going to take a peek at lessons and experiences that you had during 2023 and how it's going to carry you into the new year. So, looking at what's happened to you over the past 12 months, we have joyous fun. Let's pull another card and see what else we have for you. For my Gemini collective, we have limiting beliefs. Subconscious beliefs impede progress. Check in with self, shadow work, and rewire with subliminals. So, what this feels like for my Gemini collective out there is that 2023 was a bit of a year of you letting go. It's almost as if what led up, in 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, I would say about 5 years before this, there were a lot of challenging times. It feels like there was a pretty significant burden that you experienced during that time period. And there's a sense of almost like flipping a switch. It's almost like you just sort of got fed up with the way that things were going, and it was almost like the pendulum swung from one side to the complete other, where you're like, you know what, just screw it. I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna have myself a good old time in 2023 and sort of let the chips fall where they may. So I do think that that was part of this, sort of check in with self. What am I doing that's limiting myself? And I do think that a big part of what was limiting you was just allowing yourself to be free. And so it feels like there was a lot of self work that was happening over the past year, that you opened yourself up to new experiences, to, new people, new things, where you may have been a little bit reluctant to do so in the past because of disappointments, because of things not working out, the way that you had hoped that they would. But 2023, it feels like for you, was a year of release, which I think was very much needed over this handful of years that you didn't necessarily have that. It feels like there was a lot of pent up energy that you were trying to get into. So, looking at you over the past year, we have the King of Pentacles. You were embracing everything that this world has to offer. I feel like I see a lot of you in restaurants and eating delicious food and having wonderful drinks and having all of these sort of sensory experiences that you didn't, for whatever reason, allow yourself to have in the past. It feels like you kind of stepped your luxury game up a little bit. And we also have the Hermit. So this was a time of your exploration, because what it doesn't feel like is that you shut yourself off from the world, but it does feel like you did a lot of introspective work. You may have done some shadow work to figure out what it is that was sort of holding you back, what it was that was preventing you from enjoying life to the greatest extent that you can at this point. But it feels like a very fun energy. It feels like a very optimistic and hopeful energy. Now we have the Seven of Wands to sort of represent a lesson that you were learning over the past year. And the Seven of Wands is a defensive card, right? But you have this person who is standing from a position of power. You can see that she's wielding her wand on this sort of hill, and she's elevated above all of these other wands that are kind of poking at her. Now, I think the biggest lesson for you was defending your position in this world, right? I don't think that my Geminis were meant to shrink. You weren't meant to play small. And so you sort of getting out of this space, you doing this soul searching and embarking on this new journey to explore life is kind of like, okay, let's see how this works. Let's see how this fits, because it feels a lot better than me doing nothing and me not enjoying life. And we have that clarified with the Page of Cups. Again, a very naive, sort of youthful energy, someone who's learning, someone who's growing, someone who's figuring out how to get in touch, check in with themselves, in with their emotions, right? So they're just starting to take those baby steps into joy. And I think that that's what you were getting into. It's like, all right, let me try this. Let me try this. There's a lot of curiosity. There is a lot of excitement that comes with this energy. And we have the 7 of Cups to sort of show how this changed you in reverse. Now, the 7 of Cups, when it's upright, can be a card of deception, of disillusionment, of having options. I think for my Geminis, this is not necessarily about having options, because the options were always there. It just feels as though you didn't necessarily explore them. But I do think that the veil was sort of lifted over your eyes, where you realize that, yes, you can actually go out and explore all of these good things that are in the world. And so I think that you are now more willing to sort of take those chances, to take those smart and calculated risks, and you're building for yourself. Now, I think that for a lot of you, this may have to do with work or how it is that you make money, but these sort of tangible assets or experiences that you have in life with the 10 of Pentacles, it's changed you because now you are in a place where you are a lot more solid, that you are much more abundant than when you came into this year and the years prior, that now you have this recognition of what it is that you need to do for yourself to have that stability that you're looking for. And again, for a lot of you, when it comes to work, it feels as though there may have been situations where you were just kind of trudging along. And it's like, okay, one foot in front of the other, same old, same old, same old, day in, day out. There wasn't much excitement because maybe you weren't doing what you were being called to do, or doing something that didn't necessarily excite you. It wasn't fun. It wasn't particularly enjoyable, but it paid the bills. So I think that for a lot of my Geminis out there, that you also started making this shift into doing something that actually fulfills you, but is also quite lucrative at the same time, whether that's starting a business or changing industries, changing where it is that you work. So something that may have held you back a little bit this year, we have the Page of Wands. So another little naive energy, a young energy that's coming out. There's, I think for a while, there was this sort of teeny spark that was in you, like almost a glowing ember. You know how fire looks before it catches and then it just becomes big. So I think that this fire was stifled a little bit, perhaps by these limiting beliefs, where it was always this sort of glowing ember, but it was never given the right conditions to be able to spring into this nice big fire. And with the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, well, the Knight of Pentacles is always the slowest moving knight in the deck. Now, it is a very stable energy, but it takes a while. And so having this in reverse, it feels like that slow nature was magnified even more, where it feels that things just came to a standstill. It wasn't even a situation where you sort of came in, where you were just like, okay, I'm going to take this step and then take this step and then we're going to build. It was like, I think prior to all of this, it was just sort of frozen in fear, maybe, where things just, you just weren't taking that step. Ooh, heavens. So something that you may have overlooked or not seen over the past year, we have the 2 of Pentacles. So I think initially figuring out that balance, finding that sort of happy place, again, especially when it comes to finances, that's what's sticking out most to me for my Geminis out there. When it comes to money or how you make money, think that there were challenges between, having a good life, having a good living, and doing something that you actually enjoy, right? And we have that clarified with the Queen of Swords. Again, a firm energy, but the Queen of Swords is someone who is very, very thoughtful, but even more than that, they know how to use their voice. And so I think that when it comes to the things that you wanted to do in terms of, making money, that there is a challenge in figuring out how to use your voice to get what it is that you want. Again, those limiting beliefs may have come in there where you had these thoughts of, well, I can't do that. That's just not smart. And it's like, no, you're not giving yourself enough credit for how you can sort of strategize around this, talk to people, articulate what it is that you want and how you're going to build this. It feels like you may have slowed yourself down a little bit, but the good thing is, Gemini, is that it feels very much like you started coming out of this. Now, something that you should be proud of that happened over the past year, we have the Seven of Pentacles and we also have the Knight of Cups, both in reverse. So this is an interesting combination because the Seven of Pentacles is really about waiting, right? You've planted seeds and now you're just waiting. You're waiting, looking to see what happens. And it feels as though you have gotten to a place where you're not waiting anymore. It's like, listen, the pentacles are there. It's time to start plucking. They're ripe for the harvest. And with the Knight of Cups, this is you giving love back to yourself. So with the Knight of Cups, when it's upright, it's, this very proud person. They're presenting their cup. They're on a prancing horse. And it's more for everyone else around them. And so I think that you started focusing much more on yourself, pouring that love, those affirmations back into you so you could get rid of these limiting beliefs and start living a life that was more happy, that was more joyous, that was more fulfilling for you. And so it feels like right now, Gemini, you're in a place where you are now getting out there, you're taking advantage of opportunities, these thoughts, this little glowing ember that you had, you're starting to feed those. You're starting to harvest those thoughts, those ideas, these things that you've created internally. You're starting to put them into action. And so whereas you may have come into the year a little bit, worn out, but very, very ready for change, right? You're ready to be abundant and you started taking that action to do so. So I think that this is something that's going to trickle over into 2024. Now that you've built up so much momentum over the past year, it's like you came in ready for change and it's like, all right, this is how we're going to do it. It's like you're on fire. So I do expect that, sum total, the new year is going to be a really good one for you, Gemini. So very well done. That's what I got for you guys. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one.